Hello and welcome to another episode of Authentic English for Curious Learners. Today, Miss Minia and I will be discussing social media for our Part 1 question set. And the Part 2 question is something that I think is really difficult. It is describe an advertisement with a famous person in it. Now, I couldn't answer this question, so make sure to listen to see how I handled it and whether or not that's a good Part 2 response. Make sure to check out the resources in the description below where we have a vocabulary list as well as a transcript for you. And leave us a like, subscribe, and a comment letting us know what you think of the show. Now, let's get to the show. Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of Authentic English for Curious Learners. Hello, Miss Minia.
Hello, Mr. Kevin. Hello, everyone.
Today we're going to be talking about the question 1 set of social media and the Part 2 question of describe an advertisement with a famous person in it. As always, don't forget to check out the description for resources, including a vocabulary list as well as a transcript. Now, let's get started. All right, social media, quite controversial topic nowadays. Some countries are banning social media for kids. Yeah, under 16, a lot of backlash, I think, against social media.
So, how often do you use social media?
Every day. I hate it. I will say that at this point, outside of messenger apps to communicate with people, personal use, I don't do anything on social media anymore. But for my business, Kevin Teaches Me, I'm on Facebook, I'm on YouTube, I was on Threads, I was on TikTok, but right now just Facebook and YouTube. And you have to be. But personally, nothing. What about you?
Scroll and mindlessly browse things?
Doom scroll, right? Doom scroll. Yes, I do. I doom scroll Facebook and I doom scroll YouTube Shorts. I don't know why. You know, sometimes even as I'm doing it, I think this is not good for me, but it is so addictive.
It's just so easy to continue. It's so hard to stop.
Mm-hmm. It is. I will say that I follow a lot of educational content on YouTube, but the shorts are not educational. It's just doom scrolling stuff, and it's brain rot content. On Facebook, again, I have a lot of groups like for my hobbies that are very helpful, but the short little videos on Facebook are not from them. It's brain rot, and it's very hard to stop. That is one of my goals, and my birthday is coming up soon, so one of my goals in my new year of life is you need to cool it with the brain rot and social media. Do you think you spend too much time on social media?
I do. If you consider YouTube social media, is it? It is, right?
Do you consider YouTube? So actually, I have this conversation with my students all the time. Do you consider YouTube social media?
I think so, because there's this element of, there's the community of people following people, and they can comment, like, reply to each other. Can they send messages to YouTubers?
I don't think so. I think it's just the public comments. Do you leave public comments?
I've only left public comments on our videos.
Yeah, same. I think I commented one time. There was a guy who makes really cool videos of the place in Canada where I used to live, and I commented that I really enjoyed his videos as someone who used to live there. But I think that's the only YouTube video I've ever commented on. Everything else is just on my videos or our videos.
I probably might have complimented someone too, or thanked somebody, but that's it.
Because I've seen like crazy people in the comments, and I don't want to engage. Not our comments, thank God. Our comments are always good, but comments on other videos, like people get into verbal fights and racism.
They start wars.
Yeah.
To answer the question, I also use social media every day, mostly to contact my people, my friends and family. But a lot of the time, I consume content. I try to avoid short videos because for me it's easier to stop it in the ranks. Is that a phrase? Stop it from the beginning. Like I don't even let it become a habit.
How about nip it in the bud?
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know what idiom you're looking for. Stop it in its tracks.
Yeah. Is it? So it doesn't start?
It would be more like a sudden halt, a sudden stop. Nip it in the bud
Okay.
would be like before it even grows. It's a habit that you need to nip in the bud.
Okay. I thought nip it in the bud was the opposite. Like it's already been there and then you stop it.
No, it would be like,
Okay.
oh, let's say someone
Good to
picks up their
know.
first cigarette, you need to nip that in the bud, meaning stop
Ah.
now before it grows, before it gets
Mhm.
worse.
So that's exactly what I mean with short videos. Because I know I have the tendency to be addicted to things in general. I just know that. Like games, for example, I don't download games to my phone because I will get addicted. So because I know short videos are addictive, I just am mindful about it and avoid at all costs. If I suddenly check out a short video somebody sent me and then it starts moving on to the next one, I immediately
Yeah,
close the window, close the app, nip
and
it
of
in the bud.
course, yes, nip it in the bud. Of course, they know that. Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, they know that the product is addictive and that they design it to keep you scrolling.
Yeah.
It's very powerful, and it's
The
underrated by young
the
people,
only
particularly.
the only short videos I watched on Facebook were sort of comedy, and they would be like on a specific channel. So I would watch some of them like to entertain myself, and I would sort of feel like I have control over it. Unlike just randomly clicking on a short video and then the platform will just keep sending me the others based on what I watched. Then
Right.
they will know what I like.
It's more deliberate. Your choice is more deliberate
Mm.
and less driven by the algorithm. No,
Uh,
I pretty much let the algorithm decide. And because I hate to say this, but my algorithm takes me to some dark places. Because I like to watch, particularly YouTube, I watch a lot of political shows or historical shows.
mm,
And so sometimes the algorithm throws up stuff about war that I don't want to see. I don't want to think about it. Some of the
right.
wars that are going on. It's just very depressing. And yeah, I need to nip it in the bud. It's already started, but I need to get a hold of it.
Mm. Mm. I even have TikTok. Well, professionally, I do
Yeah.
have to sometimes post things and check comments and reply to them. But on TikTok, for example, I only get in to reply to comments and I get out. That's it. So I really try to nip it in the bud.
Yeah.
Yeah,
How
once
old
you're
were you when
addicted,
you
it's so hard.
started using social media?
I think 2009 was when a lot of my friends started to use Facebook. So I followed them. So I guess I was 17, 18.
Yeah, I was about 28. It was around the same time. So, like, there was no social media when I was even in university.
Hmm.
I'm very thankful.
Did you use blogs? MySpace? Whatever?
There was like, do you remember like something called Live Journal?
No,
I
never
never
heard of it.
used it, but I vaguely remember that name. And then MySpace came along. I was already out of university by the time MySpace came along. Yeah, so my entire childhood, young adult, no social media. I'm very thankful for
Hmm.
that because I think it's not a healthy environment for young people.
What exactly do you think? Like it's constantly checking for notifications?
I think the increase in screen time is not healthy for people. I read, because we're teachers, I get teaching videos about how few people read books nowadays, or about the education system in the United States. I know that reading scores have really dropped, and that's alarming to me. And I attribute it
Hmm.
to cell phone use, to social media use. I also think it can be kind of toxic for young people about body issues, body image.
Right.
I think well, like we talked about, the arguments that you've seen in other videos and comments, it's people aren't nice.
To add to that, I watched a report about the content that teenagers receive, it's usually very violent and it's not like controlled at all. Whatever children are exposed to is really dangerous.
Hmm.
And there's no really working regulation there to monitor all that.
Do you remember there was a documentary, and I can't remember, The Social Contagion? I can't remember what it was called. And they interviewed like the head of Facebook, the head of Twitter, and they're like, "Oh, I don't let my children use this." Do you remember that?
I think so.
Yeah.
I vaguely remember the name as well.
It was on Netflix. I remember it was like a
Mm.
Netflix documentary, and none of them would let their children use their products.
Oh.
But they're pushing it on 8 billion people around the planet. Maybe there'll be a backlash. I do feel like we're at the beginning of a backlash against that stuff. Have you posted anything personally lately? I mean, obviously we both have to use it for our business.
I started to use my personal account more often because
Mm,
I thought it would help with the presence, online presence.
mm,
But last week I was so busy. So the last post I made was, I guess, 1 or 2 weeks before. I think it was a post about me and my son having fun in the countryside.
mm-hmm,
Just so I started to post more things like more related to life, which I hadn't done for a long time. But now that I feel like you need to show your face more, show who you are more online.
authenticness, authenticity.
I'm trying it out and I'm finding my voice sort of again.
Good.
I kind of lost it for a while. I used to enjoy sharing what I find interesting. I
Me
felt
too.
like I was like doing people a service.
Mm,
I deliberately avoid posting things that would make people feel jealous or envious.
mm-hmm,
Instead, I would focus on things that are more lean toward information sharing,
mm-hmm,
advice, experience sort of thing. So I feel like I wouldn't be contributing to the negative
mm-hmm,
effects of the
mm-hmm.
social media. Yeah, why don't you share things anymore if you enjoy it?
Like you, I used to like to post music videos, fun things I saw, a picture I took of the ocean, but I didn't want to feed the beast of these mega corporations. The more I learned about them, and it took me years, and I know I'm not making a difference, but it's just something I prefer not to participate in. On a
Mm.
personal level. Again, I know that we have to do it for business, and that's just reality. And I don't judge people who do use it. I just don't like to use it. I just don't like to use it
Mm.
anymore. That's it.
So
There's
now
really
that,
no.
mm, so whenever you have something to share, you would send it privately?
I do send it privately, yeah. Or I have like a photo group with my family that I'll post photos in. They'll post photos in, so it's just private amongst us. Or I'll text it directly. Or if I see something funny, I'll send it to someone directly. Yeah. So maybe it's
Mm.
led me to have a little bit more personal connection with certain people as opposed to blasting my whole friend group. Because, and quite honestly, especially now that I've moved out of the United States for so long, some of my Facebook friends I haven't seen in 12 years, but we're still Facebook friends, So I really don't know what's going on in their lives or have any connection there
Mm.
anymore.
I think I had a similar issue with having too many people I wasn't very close
Mm,
to. I started to just accept friend
mm,
requests to the point that I was like, who am I talking to if I'm sharing this at this
mm,
point? So I became quieter and quieter and started to just send things directly to
mm.
people I thought would want to know that something I wanted to share.
I think one of the big problems with social media, especially now, that didn't exist, even 10 years ago, is advertisements, which leads into our part two question. So, our part two question is, can you describe an advertisement with a famous person in it?
I don't like this topic
I don't
because
either.
I judge this question. I'm like, who? carries around a memory of an advertisement in their head. Who does that?
Could you think of one?
Well, but then when I had to think of it, I spent like 5 to 10 minutes to think about it, like browse through my memory. Most ad ads that I remember, Kevin, if you don't know this about me, are usually with songs. Are they called jingles?
Commercial jingles, yeah.
Sometimes I just burst into song and would sing some of these jingles from the past, even inappropriate commercials.
You could also say they're earworms, right? Once they get into your ear, once they get into your head, you can't get them out.
There were several jingles from my childhood about lollipops and a show on the radio. Sometimes I would burst into song and sing those silly tunes.
This really
So,
shows you the power of advertisements, though, right? That a
oh my
commercial
gosh,
you saw
yeah.
30 years ago, you still remember.
But I wouldn't say I would buy those products.
Mm.
It's just that it stayed in my head. I'm sure it does something to my buying decision, for sure, for sure.
If it didn't work, they wouldn't spend money on advertising.
Having said all that, if I had to pick an advertisement, I just thought of this one. The reason I remember it is because I had a thought. I thought about it a little bit when I watched it. So it was a dandruff shampoo ad
Hmm.
on TV, and the famous person was this super handsome. I think he's an actor slash singer. I just know his name, and I never saw his him in songs, his singing or movies.
Hmm.
I just know that he's a celebrity. And in the ad, he was portrayed as this attractive, handsome man who was impressing women. But at some point, he had some dandruff on his shoulder.
Yeah.
Shoulder.
The shame
I
of dad.
know. And in that moment, I was like, what kind of actor or singer, what kind of successful person would choose to do this to let people know they have dandruff on their shoulder and visible dandruff like that. So I, the reason I remember this ad is just that. It's just like, why would a person do this? Why would a person add this to their image? A person whose image is so important to them, by
Right.
the way. But anyway, in the end, after he used the shampoo, the dandruff went away, but some of it was still there. I don't understand the message.
A Vietnamese commercial?
It was a Vietnamese commercial. And I've noticed a lot of the dandruff shampoo commercials do that. They leave some bits of dandruff in the after picture. I don't know, what, avoid lawsuits? I don't know.
I have no idea. No idea.
So anyway, this was like more like a disturbing memory of an ad.
But stuck in your head.
Yeah. And I think I'm still on topic because the topic only wanted me to include a famous person in it.
Yeah.
So that's it.
I agree with you. I think that would be a fine response. Now, the bullet point does say who the person is, but remember, the bullet points are not mandatory. They're just there to guide your response. But you gave fluent language, coherent language, and relevant language. There's no problem there. And I have to do the same thing because I can't think of a single advertisement with a famous person in it. For one, I've lived in Vietnam too long that I don't recognize anybody in the ads that I see here. So I thought, well, what could I have a minute to prepare. What can I talk about? And I think I would talk about that when I was a kid, famous people, it would be really unusual for them to do television commercials.
Really?
Yeah, they were normally just regular actors or not, but they would not be famous like George Clooney or, Brad Pitt. But I remember seeing shows that would make fun because they would do them in Japan. So you would have very famous movie actors, very famous TV actors from America endorsing and doing a commercial for like Japanese toothpaste. And it was really funny as a little boy to see that because, one, they sounded crazy. I couldn't understand the language. But also they would never, ever, ever do that in the United States because I guess they thought they were too serious an actor. That if people saw them on TV selling dandruff shampoo or selling toothpaste, maybe they wouldn't take them seriously in the role. But if they went to Japan and someone gave them a lot of money, they would have no problem doing that. And even so, if that's not long enough, I think I would kind of change the question a little to say the reason I can't remember advertisements is I go out of my way to avoid them. Any current advertisements. I use ad blockers. I don't watch live TV. I pay for YouTube Premium so I don't have to see ads. I don't like to see advertisements.
So your ad was like a person with toothpaste?
I was just speaking in general. I can't think of a specific ad. I can't think of a specific ad.
Would it be okay if the topic asks for a specific one advertisement and you gave a general answer? Would that be okay?
I think this topic is doing that. Describe an advertisement with a famous person in it. You're not going to be penalized if you can't think of anything, if you tell me why you can't think of anything.
Okay.
Or you talk about, like I talked about the general idea of famous Americans when I was a child, going to Japan to make Japanese television commercials, which they wouldn't do.
Yeah.
But I can't think of anyone concrete. I can't think of any ad concrete, but I can still give coherent and relevant language.
Yeah. And you were consistent in your answer, saying that you didn't remember, and so in the end, you just had a vague memory of something.
And then I can, if I still have time, I can build on why I don't remember or why I don't know any current ones because I use ad blockers. That's fine. That's fine.
Yeah.
No one is going to penalize you. Again, if you say, I can't think of an advertisement, so I'm going to tell you about my dog.
No.
That's a problem. That's a problem, right? Both of us are giving relevant and coherent language. We're on topic. And we're directly addressing the topic. I can't do this because whatever. I think it's fine.
Yeah.
Do you go out of your way, like me, to avoid advertisements?
I try to. I do have ad blockers. I do have YouTube Premium. It's just a waste of time, I think.
100%. And it makes your life so much nicer to not have to deal with them.
Having said though, I sometimes click on videos that say funny advertisement compilation or
I do too.
Funny Thai ads.
I do too. And the other day on my Brain Rot Facebook reels that I was watching, there was someone had put an advertisement in for a product they were selling, and I clicked on it. And I liked the product. I ended up buying it.
What?
It's the first time I've ever done that.
Oh.
It was a cleaning product.
Are you happy with your purchase?
I'm pretty good. I'm pretty happy with it. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with it. But
so it was able to sneak into your...
I don't think it was an advertisement so much as a business doing reels like we do. It was like a shop making short videos. They hooked me. And
their content was interesting enough for you as a person who didn't intend to buy anything from them.
Yeah.
Click on their video.
Yeah, seeing how it worked, seeing that it was an effective product, and it was honest. I bought it. They got me. Hook, line, and sinker. Hook, line, and sinker. Meaning when you fish, you have a hook, a line, and a sinker, a bob, I guess. And so it just means that they caught me like a fish. The whole thing. But I think it was like 40,000 dong, so I decided I could risk it. Well, thank you. We had kind of a heavy session today. Social media and advertisement. 2 topics I don't like and can be a little difficult
But for some reason it was so interesting to talk about those.
I think they are interesting, especially social media. We should all have lots of opinions on social media, especially our younger viewers. So remember, check out the description for resources. Leave us a like, subscribe, and a comment. Tell us, is YouTube social media? Do you think YouTube social media? Or is it more Facebook, TikTok? What do you consider social media? And anything else, Miss Minia?
No.
All right. Well, until next time, goodbye. Happy studies.
Goodbye.